Hi, my name is Huyền. I'm 34 years old and I'm a freelance English teacher. And today, instead of just telling you a few random facts about myself, I thought, why not tell you the whole story? So, let's travel back in time. I was born on September 27th, 1992. At that time, my dad was 26 and my mom was only 21. They were both very young and certainly they had this little 3.3 kilogram baby to take care of. And yep, that was me. I was their first child, so for the first few years of my life, I had my parents all to myself. But of course, that didn't last very long. When I was 6, my first younger sister was born. 2 years later, another little sister joined us. And when I was 16, just when I thought our family was probably complete, I got a little brother. So eventually, our little family became a family of 6. My dad, my mom, my 2 younger sisters, my little brother, and me. Now, let's go back a little. When I was 5, I started kindergarten. I had 2 really good friends who were also my neighbors. But they went to a different kindergarten, and somehow I found out that their teacher often gave them really high scores. So, 5-year-old me thought, I want high scores too. And I actually asked my parents to move me to their kindergarten. Looking back, I think it's funny that I was already worried about my scores when I was 5. Then came primary school, secondary school, and high school. And somewhere along the way, I discovered that I really liked creating things. When I was in grade 8 or 9, I started drawing my own comics. But I didn't just draw them for fun, I sold them to my classmates. And I even had my own little marketing strategy. If you bought one of my comics, I might draw your portrait at the end of the next one. At that time, of course, I had no idea what marketing or upselling meant. I just knew I wanted people to buy my comics. Then in high school, the comics disappeared, but apparently the businesswoman in me didn't. I started making study notes. I would take everything the teachers taught us, organize it, summarize it, print it out, and sell the notes to my classmates. Again, at that time, I didn't think much of it. But looking back now, I think little pieces of who I am today were already there. I liked learning, I liked organizing information, I liked turning complicated things into something easier to understand. And apparently, I also liked selling things. I just didn't know that one day all of those little things would become part of my job. When I turned 18, I left home and moved to Ho Chi Minh City for university. That was a huge chapter of my life. 4 years later, I graduated from university, and then came the question almost every young person has to face: what I'm going to do with my life. And I eventually became an English teacher. I worked as an English teacher for about 2.5 years, and for a while that was my life. I went to work, I taught my classes, I came home, and it was a normal, stable job. But somewhere inside me, I knew I wanted to try something different. So eventually, I quit my job. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. I just knew I wanted to build something of my own. So I started teaching online, creating IELTS lessons, and sharing what I knew on the internet. And slowly, very slowly, that became my career. And then in 2019, I decided to leave and move to Dalat. I lived there for about 3 years. And then in 2022, after years of living away from home, I moved back to my hometown. When I was 18, I couldn't wait to leave. Years later, I found myself wanting to come back. Yeah, funny how that happens. And that brings us to today. I think that's probably the best way I can introduce myself. I'm a teacher, but I'm also a student. I'm someone who left home because I wanted a bigger life and then came back years later and learned to appreciate a quieter one. When I look at this whole timeline, there are so many little things that seem completely unimportant when they happened. Drawing comics, making study notes, leaving home, becoming a teacher, quitting my job, starting again, moving away, coming home, learning another language at 34. None of these things looked like they were connected at the time, but put them together and somehow they became my life. So, hi, my name is Huyền. I'm 34 years old. I'm a freelance English teacher and this is me. Well, at least this is me so far.